Philadelphia is home to amazing and diverse inventions. These inventions have innovated the world as we know it today. Diving into almost magical inventions from a great city, here are the incredible inventions from Philadelphia. Did you know one of the most famous inventions that are widely used today and a longer time ago was created by Benjamin Franklin in the wonderful city of brotherly love? Produced in 1749, the lightning rods were used for very tall buildings that became very vulnerable to lightning. The whole rod consists of a rod, a wire, and then a ground rod. The first rod would go on top of the building, usually be made of metal, and then be connected to a huge wire of copper, aluminum, or other conductive metals. This would lead to a ground rod. This ground rod is what leads all of the electric or lightning to a safer place. What all of this does is when the top rod gets struck, it instantly transfers all the energy in the wire that then leads to the lightning to the ground, making the lightning completely harmless to the building. This wondrous invention is also called a Franklin rod and lightning conductor in the United Kingdoms. This metal stick isn't the only invention Benjamin Franklin created in Philadelphia. That's right, the bifocal is one of the most famous inventions by the $100 bill man. It is so innovative that people all over the world still use it. In essence, the bifocal works by providing two different focal lenses to see at near distances and far distances, hence the name bifocals. Before all of this, people with presbyopia, or age-related farsightedness, had to carry around two different glasses. The story about how they were made is that Benjamin Franklin had trouble seeing things far and close to him. What he did was cut a near-distance lens in half and a far-distance lens in half. After, he attached the near-distance on the bottom of the top in one frame to create the bifocal. The invention was announced as a product on May 23, 1785, and replaced the method of carrying around two different glasses very quickly. In 1827, however, John Isaac Hawkins invented the trifocals and credited it to Franklin. The trifocals consist of three different focal lenses similar to the bifocals, but with an added intermediate lens in the far and near focal lenses. As shown in the picture, the bifocal is split in half, or different sections, for the far-sighted and the near-sighted. Getting away from all the science, the two places where you can keep and potentially lose or get your money was invented in this astounding city. The first bank, named the first bank in the United States, was idealized by one and only Alexander Hamilton. The first bank in the United States was also the first bank in America to be public to all citizens. It was designed by Samuel Blodgett and built in 1795. It is located in 120 South 3rd Street, and obviously in Philadelphia. It's decorated with columns in the front as if a Roman palace. The bank is not used today, but can be seen as a historical landmark in the United States. As they're talking about keeping your money, let's talk about losing or making money. The Philadelphia Stock Exchange, or PHLX, was the United States' first stock made when James Hamilton donated about $200 in 1740 to help a company as a Kickstarter. The payment was in order to pay for the construction of a new city hall. This ultimately led to others doing the same thing. Now people can buy percentages of a company or percentages of a company's equity. Although it's not the first stock in the world, it's the third oldest after the Amsterdam Exchange made in 1602 and the Paris Bourse in 1724. Today it is known as NASDAQ-OMX PHLX and is owned by the NASDAQ-OMX group at the moment. Getting away from all the science, the two places where you can keep and potentially lose or get your money was invented in this astounding city. The first bank, named the first bank in the United States, was idealized by one and only Alexander Hamilton. The first bank in the United States was also the first bank in America to be public to all citizens. It was designed by Samuel Blodgett and built in 1795. It is located in 120 South 3rd Street, and obviously in Philadelphia. It's decorated with columns in the front as if a Roman palace. The bank is not used today, but can be seen as a historical landmark in the United States. As they're talking about keeping our money, let's talk about losing or making money. The Philadelphia Stock Exchange, or PHLX, was the United States' first stock made when James Hamilton donated about $200 in 1740 to help a company as a Kickstarter. The payment was in order to pay for the construction of a new city hall. This ultimately led to others doing the same thing. Now people can buy percentages of a company or percentages of a company's equity. Although it's not the first stock in the world, it's the third oldest after the Amsterdam Exchange made in 1602 and the Paris Bourse in 1724. Today it is known as NAS. Another great but useless invention in Philadelphia was a slinky. Although it had no purpose but to entertain, the slinky made a huge explosion in sales in the mid-1940s and later. The history behind this is almost as fascinating as the mesmerizing way the slinky moves. Richard Thompson James was working an old boring desk job at the shipyard named William Cramp and Sons Shipyard. One day in 1943, he accidentally toppled some spare parts, and among those parts was a metal coiled spring. When he dropped it, he had watched in astonishment as if it was the craziest thing he had ever seen. Because of this, he spent about a year testing out the traction or tension of the spring and the types of wire there were. Finally, on January 28, 1947, Richard Thompson issued his patent. The recent invention was called the slinky because of the sound it made when it was at work. From something that was supposed to be in engines of battleships, entertained the numerous people that bought the slinky. Moving on, you would think that having a pencil with an attached eraser is something that has straight up common sense, but think again. This has never been invented until 1858. A stationer by the name of Hymen Lipman patented the modern pencil with a rubber strip placed at one end of the pencil. He then sold the patent to Joseph Reckendorfer because he thought it would make a great product and a fortune for him. From this, Hymen Lipman got about $100,000, which is approximately worth $2 million today. Fortunately for Lipman, but unfortunately for Joseph Reckendorfer, the Supreme Court ruled the patent as not an actual invention in 1975. This is because the invention was basically just combining two already invented items, which were the pencil and the eraser. Even though the patent was denied, almost 60 years later, the pencil with an attached eraser was used all over the United States. Although the invention was insanely popular in the United States, it wasn't common in other countries at that time. Although the pencil wasn't very popular at this time of the invention, a common food found everywhere throughout the whole country can be very, very chewy and even sticky. Bubblegum has been around for 89 years, or since 1928. The invention of bubblegum was actually another accidental invention created by the man of Walter Dimer. He was an accountant for the Fleer Chewing Gum Company. He was messing around with different formulas of gum, until he had a combination that was very stretchy and non-sticky feel. These physical properties allowed for large bubbles to be made by the blowing. From this, he was so surprised and interested in how much people wanted to buy it. So one day, he brought it to a store, and a 5-pound patch of his new creation, and it all sold out in less than 12 hours. Soon later, the co-workers at his company started to market and sell his product. To increase the number of sales, Walter would go around to teach all of the clerks how to blow bubbles so they could teach their customers. When he made this first good batch of good bubblegum, he shared it around with his co-workers, but at the end of the day, it was all dried up or hard to make any bubbles. Because of this, he experimented with other materials that would keep the gum fresh and ready to make bubbles anytime, and did so for 4 more months, until he came upon a material that would change the game: latex. Latex allowed the gum to keep fresh and not letting it go hard and keeping it flexible. The material latex is still almost used in all bubblegums today. He mixed a 300-pound worth of ingredients inside giant mixers at the company. The thing is, he forgot to add food coloring, so he redid it again with 300 more pounds and added the only color of food coloring he could find, light pink. This is the reason why bubblegum is usually associated with the color pink. The creation of bubblegum had made Walter so popular that he was promoted to senior vice president. During the 1920s, bubblegum was seen and sold everywhere it would look. After the Great Depression, however, people would still buy bubblegum for much cheaper. The people that still work at the Fair chewing gum company owe practically their life to him because it saved all their jobs as the company almost got shut down. Because of the Great Depression, money was very, very scarce, and working at a big hit factory, or even had a job, was something many people would even wish for. Bubblegum was kind of a lifesaver for them by bringing them comfort and warmth. However, Walter was never actually issued a patent on his invention, so others started to market their own kind of bubblegum. Enough talking about all this old stuff, let's talk about more recent foods. Philadelphia gave the United States, no, the universe, something absolutely indescribably incredible. The one and only famous cheesesteak. If you haven't figured out already, the cheesesteak was made in Philadelphia. It was made by pulling thin slices of beefsteak, melted cheese into a long piece of bread, and then adding whichever condiments desirable. The story of how the cheesesteak was first made is when Pat Oliveri, a hot dog vendor, decided to grill beef from a butcher and put it on Italian bread. A cab driver who had smelled the cheesesteak asked for a steak sandwich. The news of a new sandwich spread through the cab drivers, and drivers all over came to taste his new creation. Eventually, he opened a restaurant called Pat's King of Steak on 9th and Passyunk on 1966. Today, almost everyone can enjoy a delicious cheesesteak at a local restaurant or cheesesteak joint. Perhaps someone cooking the cheesesteak somehow managed to set the whole place on fire. When you're in luck, Philadelphia is home to the first mutual farmers insurance company. The Philadelphia Contribution Ship was made in 1752 with the help of Benjamin Franklin. Mutual insurance is an insurance in which the policyholders and clients control the company. Its symbol was the hand in hand. This represented the unity of the citizens to protect each other in danger of a fire or other problems. The construction of this company influenced the creation of other insurance companies in Philadelphia, New York, Baltimore, Connecticut, Charleston, Richmond, Boston, Providence, and more. Finally, last but not least, America. America as we know it today was made in Philadelphia, or should I say more accurately, was signed and written in Philadelphia. The Constitution is the cornerstone of all rules, laws, and structure of the whole country. The Constitution contains all the laws and amendments that United States citizens have to abide by. The Constitutional Convention took 113 days, or 3 months and 21 days, from May 27, 1787 to September 17, 1787. The first state to ratify a constitution was Delaware on December 7, 1787. Delegates were chosen from each state except Rhode Island, including Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Georgia, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, and finally, Pennsylvania. A total of 55 delegates attended the Constitution Convention, but only 39 signed the actual Constitution. The last state, which was Rhode Island, had finally ratified or signed the Constitution on May 29, 1790. The whole Constitution contains a number of 27 amendments describing the rights and rules that Americans have to follow today.